Alright, everybody in their places. You guys ready on that?
Ready on that.
Ready in the blender?
Ready in the blender.
Tenfold. Go ahead and swap me the ass.
Let's get it framed. Hotel wake up call got me getting up.
Today I want to go over just some basics about the Fracsim meter. Almost like an intro, how it was created, limitations, where to use it, etc., etc. Originally the Fracsim meter was designed by a well service technician, not as a product he could sell, but simply as a tool he wanted to carry in the field. And some of you may have seen this before. The original Fracsim looks like this, and it was basically built not something to sell, but for one guy's tool that he needed, because nobody makes a tool for the well service technician. And you can see that it's evolved quite a long ways to the latest model, something that is commercialized, something that can be sold and marketed. Basically the meter, imagine the Fracsim is almost like a process calibrator, multimeter, basic oscilloscope, and a handheld serial terminal all in one, plus wrap that up with some pretty neat functions for the oil field and some extra stuff like wireless and waterproof case, etc., etc. But basically the Fracsim will measure voltage, current, ohms, RTD, thermocouple, some other specials in there, and it'll also simulate voltage, milliamps, ohms, RTD, thermocouple, same thing. It also has, like I was talking about earlier, the serial interface, and that's both RS-232, you can see on the back here, both RS-232 and RS-45. It'll read and write both. You can configure the baud rates up to anywhere from 4800 up to, let's just go, anywhere up to 57600. And there's numerous types of serial interfaces, ranging right from a terminal emulator up to specific WITS ID'd read and write systems for particular unit types. The oscilloscope, it's a functional oscilloscope up to 200,000 samples per second, useful for looking at flow meters, rate signals like frequency signals, stuff like that. It's not, I would say it's not high enough speed to look at really advanced stuff. Like you can see serial data easily, 19.2 no problem. You cannot look at 1 megabit CAN bus with the scope. You can, but all you see is a bunch of spiky lines because it's just not fast enough. And again, there's a bunch of unique specials in there, stuff just for the oil field. Some of the special stuff you would see is like in the simulating or measuring frequency, you can actually switch it to a K-factor mode, where it uses a common oil field pulse per gallon K-factor. I go with frequency sim here. So in both frequency measure and frequency sim, there's a K-factor option. You can put in, common flow meter sizes, and it'll automatically stuff in a K-factor, so you can simulate in either barrels or meters cubed instead of just a hertz. And you can also manually enter your K-factor if you want it to get really accurate. Another special just for the oil field guys would be you can actually do a pull-up resistor when you're measuring with your scope, so you can look at 3-pin or the powered magnetic pickups right to your scope without having to add in an external pull-up resistor. The serial data as well can be brought in, not just as a basic terminal, but can actually be brought in using or it's specifically tuned to use WITS format. And there's even, upon request, I can program specific IDs into the system, but it is actually kind of set up for WITS, which is a well information transfer specification, I believe, used by numerous companies for data transmission between units, and on cementing you'd see it between the rig and the driller shack, etc., etc. Of course, the whole case is actually IP65 rated. It's got gaskets everywhere. IP65, of course, it's not waterproof, but you can spray it from water with at all directions, and you're not going to damage anything. And the connections are all these mil-spec connectors. So, you know, I have there is a video of me submerging one of these. It's not recommended to avoid warranty, but it is relatively waterproof compared to any other conventional meter process calibrator you'd find. And of course, I should go over the limitations as well. I shouldn't just talk about how good everything is. But the few limitations are, it's not rated for any high voltage, so any AC voltage it will not measure, and in fact it's not rated for that. You could end up damaging the meter if you try putting high voltage onto it, and high current. The current measurement is only good for 420 milliamp stuff. The advantage of that 4 to 20 milliamp only, it is high resistance. Like there's actually about 130 ohms impedance on the current measure. It's specifically designed for measuring 4 to 20 stuff from transmitters. And that being said, that's why I can get away with that 100 ohm impedance. Most meters would have a really low impedance on the current measure. The advantage of me using that high impedance, I use a polyfuse in series with a resistor, is I can actually get away with not having any fuses whatsoever. So this meter will never let you down. If you need to measure 4 to 20 milliamps, you cannot pop a fuse in it. There is no way. It'll always be there for you, ready to go. And the other thing, the fact that this is a smaller volume product, is I can configure some of the more detailed stuff upon request. So I can put in certain names if you request. I can put in, I can change the WITS ID channels on request. I can do some special stuff if there's any requests out there. The other advantage, of course, is if you can compare this to any other process calibrator, it is the lowest priced or most economically priced process calibrator I've ever seen, and that does not include all the extras like the serial data and the oscilloscope. I have not seen a process calibrator that is in that price range, and the advantage of that is now that individual guys can afford this and carry it in their tool bag instead of having to look around for the shop calibrator, or have to go back to the shop because he doesn't have the right tool, or basically waste time because he doesn't have the tool that he needs with him. Well, this is priced enough that everybody can have one, and everybody can have what they need at their fingertips all the time. As well, you can order this with the NIST certified calibration. The specs are on the website. If you do order it with a NIST calibration, it has to go to a third party, because I do not have the in-house capability of doing that. And of course the wireless functionality. So you can actually use your phone, or pretty much your phone is the most common one that guys use, or anything that has a Bluetooth wireless functionality to it will actually interface with this. I've actually hooked this up to laptops as well. You can use the Bluetooth via laptop on the serial, set it up as like a virtual serial port and see the data as well. But basically pretty much everything's available through the wireless. You can, when you're measuring, it basically just spits out everything that's shown on the screen. It spits back out to the whatever receiving device on the Bluetooth is. And as well, any of the simulate functions, you can send commands across on the wireless device. And it's set up the wireless is set up just basically almost like a terminal type application, where it just sends and receives basic text commands. I'm going to do a video specifically on that later on. So anyway, that's the basics of the Fracsim meter.